Back here on CBS Sports HQ, you're looking at the current odds to win the Super Bowl. The Lions on top with the shortest odds at plus 270. The Chiefs 5-1. They somehow keep finding ways to win. The Eagles are there. The Bills plus 650. And then the Ravens rounding out those top 5 odds here at 10-1. We're going to break down all of these teams. We're going to go through and make the case for why they could win a Super Bowl and then also why they could not. Logan Ryan back with us, Pete Prisco. I'm Jacqueline D'Agostino. We're going to start with the Ravens because there's, a lot of good and seemingly some bad that are in here. But Logan, this is a team where we know Lamar Jackson can play at a phenomenal level. The 1-2 punch with him and Derrick Henry. Logan, make the case for this Ravens team and why they could win a Super Bowl.
Oh, the Ravens can win a Super Bowl because they already have the answer. They already have their medicine in Derrick Henry. They just got to take it. They got to stop forgetting to take their medicine. I don't care if they throw the ball one time in a playoff game. The combination of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in a backfield is one of the greatest we've ever seen. Ever. Not just 1 year, ever. They got to give the ball to Derrick 20, 30 plus times. Lamar's got to run it and then throw it as a second option. He's magnificent, Lamar Jackson, but Derrick Henry can be that closer. I was on the Tennessee Titans when we beat the Ravens as a #1 seed, and we beat the Patriots on the road with Derrick Henry running all over them to close the game. So if they utilize Derrick Henry and they have Lamar Jackson, that is all they need to win that game on that Sunday to move on to the next round and ultimately win 3 or 4 of them, your Super Bowl champions.
And you're going to play devil's advocate,
of course.
Pete. We're gonna go on and off. So sometimes Logan's going to play devil's advocate. We'll alter it. But for now, for the Ravens, what are your concerns with them when it comes to winning it all?
Pass defense.
Okay.
And I think if you look inside their numbers, they're giving up 7 yards per attempt, which is down near the bottom of the league. I think they're 30th in the league, and they've been hit by a lot of big plays. And I'm concerned: do they rush the passer well enough? Do they have somebody sack, fumble, game over? Matabiki's good on the inside, but what about the guys on the outside? And then you look at their secondary. They've given up a lot of big plays, and I think that's going to be a problem going forward. So I would say pass defense could be their undoing.
So really quickly, Pete, before we move on to another AFC North team, if you look at here, the defense in the first 10 weeks of the season in the last 2 games, do you feel a little bit better?
Little bit
improvements?
better. Yeah,
okay.
It's been better. But the Eagles don't throw the ball that well,
yeah.
and as A.J. Brown will tell everybody, and so they that wasn't a big issue when they played them. So yes, it's a little bit better, and guys are playing better, but I got to see more from them.
Okay, speaking of the Eagles, they are welcoming the Steelers to town, and they are probably one of the biggest surprise teams in the entire league. They're leading the AFC North, which we did not see coming, or most folks didn't. Pete, we're gonna let you. We're gonna give you a break from Steelers Nation coming for you. So you're going to give us the why they can win a Super Bowl so that no one clips it and sends it to them that you're saying they can't.
It won't give me a break from them. They're a nonstop. And why they can win the Super Bowl, I'll give you one big important reason: Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
The guy is a great football coach. All you have to do, look, you can look at his record, but look at this team. You go deep inside these numbers, they're not a great team from the normal Steelers we've come to expect. They don't run it as well as they have in the past, and they got a second quarterback, and now Russell Wilson's playing well. But I think Mike Tomlin's the glue. And when you watch all the, the hard knocks, there's with the AFC North, and you watch him, the way he handles his team, he's a pro. He gets it. He understands the modern player, and he seems to really get in with them, and they understand him. I love what he does as a coach, and the reason they are where they are right now is because of Mike Tomlin, and the reason they have a chance to win the Super Bowl is because of Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, they just keep finding ways to win. So Logan, give us the flip side. What are your concerns? And to be fair, there are a lot of them. They just keep finding ways to win. But Logan, why could this team potentially not win a Super Bowl?
The lack of star power. Mike Tomlin does have a Super Bowl, and he's a great coach. And they had Palomalus on defense, and Ben Roethlisberger's, and Santonio Holmes's, and all type of stars, generational stars that they had on those teams. And Mike Tomlin got 1 Super Bowl out of that. So outside of George Pickens, they do not have real star power on offense. Yes, Russell Wilson is playing well and playing good compared to what we thought Russell Wilson was his last couple of years. But is he the Russ of old still? I don't know. Najee Harris is a good back. Is he one of the top backs you want to take? I don't know. Outside of George Pickens, who's a great receiver, he has his own issues with penalties. He has his own boneheaded plays. I don't really think Freiermuth and the boys is enough star power to win a Super Bowl this year. It's not as star-studded as Pittsburgh teams before. They have a good pass rush. We know T.J. Watt. We know some of those guys, but they do not have enough collective to go beat some of these star-studded teams we're going to talk about in the AFC. They're well coached. They play hard. I understand, but they're a surprise team for a reason because we don't see the star power they have, and I just don't think it's enough to get them a Super Bowl this year.
And George Pickens is doubtful for this matchup with the Eagles. And Logan, we do picks every week, and I came on and picked the Steelers at +5.5, and I'm not really feeling too great about it, knowing that George Pickens isn't going to play. But I'm gonna stand my ground.
They also haven't won in Philadelphia since when? 1965.
It's been 59 years. But if there's anyone I can trust to buck the trend, I'm not betting against Mike Tomlin. I'm just not going to do it. Let's go to the Texans. This is a team that right now their pathway to get to the playoffs is leading the AFC South, which. It's a horrible division. It's not really saying all that much. And Pete, there was some hype around this team, but you were one of the folks saying, let's maybe pump the brakes on the Texans moving forward. But Logan, we'll start with you here. Make the case for this Texans team and why they could potentially win a Super Bowl for this season.
Well, let's just look at why the hype started. It's with DeMeco Ryans, a former player, great head coach. Players love him. They played hard for him. He understands how to play defense. He understands how to coach defense. So I think the defense will do what it has to do in playoff games from a structure standpoint. Now, we loved C.J. Stroud last year. He struggled a little bit this year, but Nico Collins has been injured. And we learned how important Nico Collins is to C.J. Stroud, that he is their true #1 wide receiver over Stephon Diggs. So now Nico Collins is back in the lineup. He is getting healthier. So with Nico Collins back, C.J. Stroud is not afraid to get the ball in his hands in fourth quarters. We've seen him make a lot of fourth quarter comebacks. We've seen that he is capable. And I love Joe Mixon at running back. So you have a great running back. You have a true #1 receiver. And with C.J. Stroud, who we fell in love with last year, I think that is enough. If they get hot at the end of this year, they can put the ball up in the air. Nico Collins can run past DBs, and they will be sound enough defensively. They'll figure that out with DeMeco Ryans. That is enough right there to upset some teams in the playoffs and walk away with a Super Bowl.
And Pete, to my point a little bit earlier, you were, like, hey, maybe we should just pump the brakes on the Texans for the this season coming up. But what are your concerns and the big ones for this Texans team when it comes to winning it all?
It's the offensive line.
Okay.
And they've been an issue all year long for them, and it's really impacted the way C.J. Stroud has played. He's been sped up. He doesn't look comfortable, and I just haven't seen the same C.J. Stroud from a year ago, and I get it. He had the injuries. He didn't have Nico Collins for a while. Now he's back. That changes the way they play. But if you're on your back, you're getting hit consistently, you're going to have problems. And I think C.J. Stroud has to show me down the stretch that he can be that guy. Everybody anointed him as the next great thing a year ago, right? Rookie season, fantastic. Well, he's come back to earth a little bit, and I think a lot of it has to do with the offensive line. If they can continue to get better there, and they did some shuffling up front, it seems to make them a little bit better, but I got to see more from that group and that offense.
Man, it always comes back to the O-line. It's not the last time we're going to talk about the O-line potentially being a problem in this segment alone. Let's move on to the Bucs. They recently took the lead in the division over the Falcons because of this meltdown from Kirk Cousins in Atlanta there. And this team has rattled off, 3 straight wins at this point, despite those injuries that have just kept piling up, and they keep finding ways to win, Pete. I know you're a big Baker Mayfield guy. You're high on Baker, but how much does he have to do with this team winning the Super Bowl, if at all?
Well, he has a lot to do with it, but again, he needs help, and he's getting help. He's getting help from the run game. And one of the best things about them is they can now run the ball. It takes the pressure off Baker Mayfield. He doesn't have to do everything. And I think being able to run the ball with Rashad White and Bucky Irvin is big for them. And if you can run the ball consistently, if you go to Detroit, you want to keep that offense off the field. You want to run the ball. And so that's something they can now do. Their offensive line is better. Graham Barton's a rookie center. He's getting better. They're getting physical up front. I think that can be something that can take the pressure off Baker and allow them to maybe, control the ball and control the clock at games.
Yeah, and to your point, we were just talking about Bucky Irving, entering that Offensive Rookie of the Year conversation. Obviously, it's a long shot, but still saying something. He's been putting up some fantastic numbers. Logan, tell us why not? Why not the Bucs for this season?
Well, this one hurts me. Pete and I both like the Bucs a lot. We both got them winning the making it to the playoffs. But, that's about it. Injuries has really hurt the team this year. That's why they got so behind. No Chris Godwin. Look at the importance he had when they didn't win a Super Bowl down there with Brady. Chris Godwin was one of his favorite receivers. Antoine Winfield. and Jordan Whitehead. But Antoine Winfield, I know Pete's been on his game a little bit, but as I think about it, the most important part of a Todd Bowles' defense is communication. And Antoine Winfield is injured. He's out a couple of weeks with a knee at least, and he is the communicator back there. So that secondary will not be as smart. They will not be as lined up. And we know how much exotic defense that Todd Bowles likes to run. Tristan Wirfs is sitting there with a knee brace on at left tackle. Mike Evans comes off for a hamstring injury. He's on his chase to 1K, but he's playing on that hamstring, and those things can re-injure. So I love how Baker Mayfield's playing. Yes, they do have a running game, but they have too many injuries at too many key positions that's really hampered them early in this season, and those guys are really going to string it out to make this playoff push. It could take a toll on them when they get in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you're listing off all the injuries. We're showing the graphic there, so it's just remarkable to even think of them leading.
Whitehead and Winfield would be the starting safeties.
Yeah.
They do get their corners back. That's the good news.
Right.
You know, the corners are back, so that's important, too.
All right. Let's go to a division that has just been absolutely unpredictable. To say, Haley and I keep calling it the wild, wild NFC West because every week there's a new division leader. Currently, it does belong to the Seahawks for now, for the time being. But Logan, why could this team potentially hoist the Lombardi when it's all said and done, despite this really, really tight divisional race?
Well, they got to make the playoffs first. And if they do make the playoffs, they would have beaten great teams and would have beaten the Rams to get in there. So they would have earned their way in, and if they're able to finish this season and make the playoffs, they should have confidence on when they get in there. Now, if you look at the Seahawks roster, they have talent across the board. Geno Smith's a quality quarterback. We would take that. DK Metcalf at X-receiver, one of the best in the game. We would take that. Jackson Smith and Jigba in the slot, one of the best in the game. Tyler Lockett as a Z receiver, a small, fast receiver stretch the field. We would all take Tyler Lockett. I like the running backs when they're healthy. They have a defensive head coach. Clean up the defense. They have some playmakers in Leonard Williams, an all-pro candidate on the defensive line. They have a Julian Love, a great communicator, smart player at safety. They have good corners. Tyreek Woolen, Kobe Bryant. They, the second-year slot DB.
Witherspoon.
So, Witherspoon. They have talent at every position. I mean, they don't really have a lot of holes. So I think if that team gets hot, what they can do if Geno can sling it offensively, and they have some playmakers on defense, that's the star power I'm talking about. If you get on the right page to close out a game and go win your game when you need one.
And Pete, we alluded to it. It always comes back to what?
It always comes back to the offensive line. I mean, look, there's only so many big people who can play the game, and you better have a lot of them. And getting Lucas back for them was big, and so that's important at right tackle. But I still don't know if they're good enough yet on the offensive line. That's the one thing. I mean, look, Geno can get hot. He's streaky. He can throw the football. We know he has the weapons. Defensively, they've been outstanding the last month of the season. I just don't know if they're good enough up front. If that group comes together, then they will be. But Logan mentioned it. This schedule is tough down the stretch. It's going to be a hard task for them to get into the postseason, and then if they do, to do something in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Like, we could be talking about the Rams, maybe the 49ers, the top of the division. That's a long shot, but who knows? It really is.
They play the Packers this week. That's a tough game.
It's really wide open. Pete Prisco, Logan Ryan, we certainly appreciate it, making a case for some of these top contenders as to why they could win a Super Bowl and why they could not. Make sure you stay tuned here on CBS Sports HQ, but especially on Sunday for the pregame show. That's where you can catch Pete and Logan alongside Tommy Tran, Todd Furman, Jamie Eisenberg, and Lige Duzable as well. Pete, we keep waiting for the new headshot of yours to drop.
I don't know where the hell that is.
What the heck?
Somebody said they won't put it up unless I have a winning week with my picks, so that might never happen.
Well, okay, we're going to put out good juju and good vibes.
That may never happen.
So you can get your new updated headshot. Hang out with the crew pregame Sunday on CBS Sports HQ, right here on HQ at 10 a.m. Eastern.